Welcome to Mallard Lodge.
The property that this house sits on has been in my husband Mac's family for more than 100 years. After Mac's father passed away last fall, stewardship of the property transferred to Mac. And with that came all of it, the history, the buildings, and the emotions. This particular building is over 7,500 square feet. It's a massive wooden box with, let's just say, interesting design choices were made. So we're starting over. We renamed it Mallard Lodge after the ducks that mark the rhythm of every summer here, because we feel like renaming something is the first step in changing its story.
So Gracie and I decided to take a drive up here today to give you a tour before the painters get started tomorrow. We're working with Pro Image Painting, who we've worked with in the past, and I'll make sure to be sharing their details along the way because I know they have an amazing social presence and I'm sure they will be getting some good footage as well to share with you. But before they get started, I wanted to make sure to capture the vast amount of wood in this house. It is an enormous amount of tongue and groove. It's actually hard to really wrap your mind around how much there is. I cannot wait to see what happens. I'm excited to share all my plans and the paint colors and everything else with you. Okay, here we go. Gracie and I are super excited to show you around.
Apparently there's already a rumor circulating that I'm planning to spray this house white from top to bottom, but that is not exactly the case. While we did ultimately choose a shade of white for this particular great room, it will only be for the walls. The posts, beams, ceilings, and other details like the railings will remain wood. We'll also be refinishing the floors throughout the house because there's quite a bit of damage, but those will simply be clear coated, not painted, and they will still be wood. The rest of the paint choices actually include quite a bit of color, but we agreed that a green or blue would be too overwhelming in this particular space. We really want to let the lake and everything else take center stage. Moving into the kitchen, we've already done quite a bit of work in here, as you can see. The first thing we did was remove the upper cabinets because they were all installed at different heights, which made the whole wall feel chaotic. I'm not exactly sure yet what will go in their place, though I do have a few ideas. For now though, just removing them really feels like a breath of fresh air. We have plenty of storage in the lower cabinet, so I don't think we'll miss the uppers at all. We also removed an awkward peninsula that sat at a completely different height from the main island. Let me know in the comments what you think we're planning for this space. I'm curious if anyone has the same idea for it that I did. While I do plan to swap out all of the light fixtures, we're going to leave the ceilings, the posts, and the beams wood. Off of the kitchen is this mudroom, which is where you enter from the garage. It acts as kind of a utility space. Right now I just have it working as a staging area, and I think the layout can be improved, but that'll come later on in the project. Off of the other side of the kitchen is the dining room, which we don't intend to use as a dining room. We aren't completely sure what we're going to do with this room yet, but we're not formal dining people, especially not at the lake where it's meant to be casual and fun. We've unfortunately had some kind of bad memories in this room, so we're going to try to change the vibe of that and make it into something happy, even though we aren't quite sure what that's going to be yet. At each of the four corners of the house, there's a large suite with a bedroom and a bathroom, and they're pretty much a copy and paste version of one another with a few differences between. One unusual feature we already addressed was that each suite had a window that looked directly into the shower. Right over the bathtub, into the shower. Yes, directly. Which meant if you were showering, you could enjoy a beautiful view of the lake, but everyone on the lake could also enjoy a view of you. Our friend Nick, who's a carpenter, removed those for us almost immediately, which was an improvement for numerous reasons. You'll also notice the urinals, which are a controversial design decision to say the least. I absolutely am disgusted by them and I hate them, but my teenage sons think they're awesome, so those are going to remain in their suites until they have wives who can tell them otherwise. The final large-scale room in the house is the bunk room. At one point, we considered dividing it into a separate guest room and bunk room, but we ultimately abandoned that idea simply because of the timeline involved. Instead, it's going to remain one large bunk room with a TV and sofa area at one end that will act as kind of a hangout space for our teenage sons and their friends. Aside from the bunk room, the second floor also includes a small office, which we'll keep as an office, along with an additional laundry room and some storage space, which is very convenient. I already showed quite a bit of the front at the beginning of this video, but I'm going to end today with the outside. The porch stretches across the entire front of the house and overlooks the lake, which makes it one of the spaces that I'm most excited to use once everything is settled. One of the most incredible things about this property is the beach. We have several hundred feet of natural sandy shoreline, which is actually quite rare on this lake, so we feel very lucky. Of course, right now it's completely covered in snow, but in the summer it becomes one of the best parts of the property, a place where everyone gathers to swim, relax, and spend the whole day outside. This project has some complications. One of the biggest challenges is the timeline. We want to be able to use the house this summer, which means we're working on a pretty tight schedule. And we weren't planning for a renovation on this scale, so we've had to be thoughtful about keeping the project within a reasonable budget and prioritizing the things that really need to happen before we move in. And with a house like this, the scale multiplies everything. Every repair costs more, every change takes longer, and we're uncovering little surprises. Some are cosmetic, and some, like the heating system and water leaks, are less so. So for this phase, our plan is pretty simple. A dumpster, a paint sprayer, and a new HVAC system for reliable and ultimately more affordable heating and cooling. And a lot of patience. Over the next few months, we'll be tackling the first major changes to Mallard Lodge. I'll be sharing the design plans, mood boards, and the progress as we go. And hopefully, somewhere along the way, this big wooden box will start to feel like something else entirely. Like the beginning of a new chapter for this place and for our family.